Hello, today we'll be discussing the process of letting go and how to apply it in a practical way. We'll highlight these aspects of the technique that many people often find challenging. May this bring clarity and value on your path. Enjoy. Summary of letting go. Letting go is a powerful mechanism for releasing emotional, physical, and spiritual blockages. Its basis lies in allowing a feeling to arise and staying with it in an accepting, non-judgmental way. The goal is not to force these feelings away, but to shine a loving light on their presence. When this occurs, life opens up, our energy becomes lighter, our consciousness expands, and a greater sense of joy, lovingness, and peace naturally follows. This technique can be applied in everyday life, improving health, transforming traumas, healing addictions, and dissolving even the most difficult limitations. For the spiritual seeker, it offers a direct avenue to growth, healing, and even the transcendence of the ego. Chapter 1. Emotional Acknowledgement. The first step in letting go is the acknowledgement of our emotions. We must be willing to look under the hood and admit that the negativity we're holding on to is not serving our highest potential. Throughout many lifetimes, we have accumulated, suppressed, and repressed layers of emotion that are now stored within the body and the energy field. These unresolved emotions create blockages on the physical, emotional, and spiritual level. They're seeking acknowledgement. They're just longing to be felt and fully seen as they are, without condemnation or the urge to escape from them. Understand that there's nothing wrong with having emotions. It is part of being born into a human body. At the same time, there's no bypassing or skipping this aspect of the experience, so it's wise to learn to be with these feelings and enter them with courage. Oftentimes, there may be fear or guilt about even having emotions. To begin the letting go process, it is vital to become aware that it is safe to feel and okay to have emotions. At the root of this block is often a fear of the sensations themselves. Know that you are capable of handling whatever arises to be relinquished. There is nothing to fear. Acknowledging our inner world allows us to live from a place of empowerment and true spiritual alignment. This results in a rock-solid foundation that cannot be swayed by external circumstances. Chapter 2. Mental Concepts. Thoughts are endless and hold no real importance in the letting go of emotional baggage. The focus should remain on the feeling, not the mental chatter. Fortunately, we don't need to know the details of our past in order to heal. All that's required is the willingness to dive into the sensations and ignore the stories surrounding them. Every feeling contains thousands upon thousands of thoughts. These thoughts are programs acquired throughout life, and accepted them as true, when in reality, they limit us from realizing our divine nature. The good news is that mental noise can be reduced by surrendering the underlying emotions that propagate these thoughts. True healing begins when we are ready to let go of the stories we believe about ourselves, when we are able to move beyond the mind and its false premise of identity. The mind will tell you a billion lies. Don't listen to its attempts to remain a sovereign entity in your life. You are not your thoughts, your story, or any concept that can be mentalized. What you are is revealed when the blockages to its source are removed, and that essence, beyond the words, beyond description, is what you truly are. Although thoughts are generally not useful during the release of emotional energy, if you have difficulty accessing your inner world, a provoking thought about what troubles you can bring the emotions to the surface. But once the emotions are present, it is best to let the thoughts, the stories completely subside. That's the only instance in which thoughts may be useful during letting go. Chapter 3. The Feeling Process. The part of letting go that many find most difficult is the feeling process itself. This is where the magic happens. The key to experiencing an emotion is not to consciously try and release it, but to allow the feeling to be present without any attempt to modify, suppress it, or evade it. You must surrender the desire to get rid of the emotion. That's how it dissipates. It may seem contradictory to the mind, but it's really the only way. To be surrendered about something means not clinging to it, but also not running from it. Aligning with the energy of acceptance and allowing the sensations to be fully felt will ultimately lead to its dissolution. You don't need to force anything to be released. That effort is actually a form of resistance, and resistance only perpetuates the feelings and the suffering they bring. Adopting the energy of "so what," as often mentioned by Dr. David R. Hawkins, it can really benefit. Surrender is not a masculine, doing-oriented energy. It's more of a feminine, allowing presence that witnesses with conscious awareness. That's all we're doing, witnessing, and being willing to surrender that pain that has been waiting for our acknowledgement. Go within without fear, without judgment, labeling, or resistance. Face the feeling with clarity and have gratitude for the role that it played in your life. It's also important to realize that you are not your feelings. They do not define you. They are simply feelings. They're a collection of sensations. For example, fear might feel like slight shakiness or tingling in the stomach area, but you are strong enough to ride the waves of these sensations. Let them be as they are. Within every being is the capacity to surrender any emotion that arises. It's also best not to stir the pot or try and intensify the emotions, but don't avoid them either. Like the waves of the ocean, let the feeling ebb and flow. Be a gentle, loving presence, holding your soul in a cocoon of love. Be the person you needed in the past. You will be rewarded graciously. Chapter 4. The Effects. So now that we've covered the process of letting go, let's talk about how it feels to successfully surrender an emotion. So with consistent practice, a common observation is a feeling of lightness, like a weight's been lifted off one's shoulders. It's really a wonderful sense of freedom. This relief is often accompanied by an increased clarity, creativity, lovingness, and an easygoing nature that comes from greater balance in the energy system. Life begins to flow more effortlessly, synchronicities increase, and the innate beauty of existence becomes more apparent. When we are surrendered, health becomes our natural state. We come to realize that illness and disease are often just expressions of trapped emotional energy and outdated mental programs that we subscribed to long ago. Through surrender, one is no longer at the mercy of the world, but rather aligned with the will of God. And God's will for you is health, peace, and happiness. And with an increase in life energy, the experience becomes more serene, more joyful. We begin to recognize that peace, love, and happiness all stems from within, not from the external world, which can only really offer temporary relief. Naturally, you become more forgiving, more calm. This radiance is reflected outwards, transforming the lives of others for the highest good. You become a source of light in a world often dominated by lower energies. And interestingly enough, the shift is often noticed first by your friends, your families, or those around you. That's because when you surrender something, it's completely gone from your consciousness, leaving you unable to even recall the problems you had beforehand. It just doesn't exist anymore. Chapter 5. Possible Obstacles. Finally, some important aspects of letting go to remember are that the ego naturally resists spiritual progress. It will find any way to discredit or dismiss the value of the surrender technique. It may say things like, This is too difficult. This doesn't work. Understand that this resistance is actually a wonderful sign. The structure of the ego is beginning to dissolve. Its doubt is simply an attempt to maintain control and steer you away from realizing your true self. Have compassion for yourself while you're practicing this technique. There is no race. There's no finish line to get to, but remain aware of the tricks of the ego. Continue with the method. It may not be easy, but it is so worth it. The benefits of letting go far outweigh anything that can be acquired in this physical world. Once you taste the peace of God, nothing can compare to the absolute wonder of its essence. When you surrender your pain and limitations to a higher power, you are infinitely blessed and cared for. Remain grounded in this knowing. Persevere when things get tough. Don't listen to the mind and its doubts. You are beyond doubt, beyond fear. What you are is untouched, eternal, and infinitely loving. I sincerely hope this video has been helpful and that you feel more confident using the letting go technique without any reservation. If you have questions about the process, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer. With infinite love and gratitude, thank you for watching. Take care.